And so here we are, you know, with this magazine. We know in the magazine world, even if something says September, it generally comes out like the month before, around the middle of the month before. And so East Coast, West Coast, by September 13th, Tupac is dead. You know, 6 months later, Biggie's dead. And so this cover is actually kind of eerie, you know what I'm saying?
When you see a Vibe magazine, when you see Puff and Biggie on the cover and see East versus West, niggas in the hood don't read articles. They just see East versus West. Oh, it's on.
It's on.
When I see them niggas, it's on.
I think Vibe gets a lot of heat for that one, because it was such a, you remember that, what that cover looked like. And I think a lot of the people who probably worked at Vibe at that time still to this day feel kind of like, you know, but Vibe wasn't the only people calling that beef that. Everybody was.
And it was crazy. It was just a crazy time. And I might say now, you know, I regret the media's role and stuff like this, but we really didn't realize how deeply we're into this. I mean, if I'm only in my 30s now, I was in my 20s like most of us. You know what I'm saying? We were all kids documenting this thing. We're not even clear who we are, and we're dealing with this dominant youth culture of the day, and it's taking this very violent turn. It's this thing called East Coast, West Coast. You've never seen anything like this before. And we're just literally swept into it. It was insane, you know? There was no way to know where it was going. No way.
You know, like with the Biggie and Tupac battle, you know, there was a lot of people that was not checking to see if Pac had outrun Biggie. They were checking to see who could win in a physical confrontation, whose camps could win if the two met up with one another.
As the business of rap music became increasingly like the streets, the artists' crews, made up of close friends, family, and up-and-coming artists, became increasingly part of the problem. They were there to stop.
I mean, I've dealt with a whole lot of people that involved themselves in the streets and brought the streets into the game. And it's like the problem with that is when you bring the streets into the game, they only know the rules of the streets.
I got family, and I got a big family. You know, one of them dudes, you know what I'm saying, who just had a real big family? I have an extra huge family. But even the cops get that confused. Like, you know what I'm saying? The cops start thinking we're a gang and we're this, and they don't understand I just make music, and you know what I mean? These dudes just support me a whole lot. Some of these dudes just support me from the street, and they living this life.
Most rap crews are made up of, I say 50% businessmen and 50% thugs. 50% of your crew is made up of homeboys that just came home from jail. Now my boys that just got out, I've been the guy on their TV that they've been pointing at. That's my man. That's my man. When they get home, their life is based around maybe I could roll with Ice. Maybe Ice could help me, you know? Now, what can he do? What can he actually do? But say, yo, Joe Blow was dissing you and I knocked him out in the club. What can he do? So then that thug element is always ready to reach out and touch anybody, whether it's a cameraman, whether it's an interviewer, whether it's somebody on the radio. They do not have any other way of showing the rapper that they man than busting somebody in their head. And that's where they get their stripe. So you gotta understand that thug element is always available in rap.
You know, they want them stripes. They want them points. So it's like, even though you might tell a person, look, I really need you to slow down and cease fire and that. Hey, he's a grown man. When you're not around, he might just come along anyway and just, you know, do what he want to do on his own.
Then, instead of fighting me like a G, he ran. Now, I can't help it if some niggas that was on the scene beat his ass for running. That was something separate, you understand me? And I can't help it if they were screaming thug life as they did it. That ain't my fault. That's just how shit went down, you understand me?
I could not be there, but if I have this person running around with me to the point that you can start associating him with me, and he decides to just go kill a nigga while I'm off doing some other shit, they gonna say I sent that.
I've been in situations where I've been with my boys and I'm talking to a friend of mine in hip hop, but his soldiers is sizing up my soldiers. You see what I'm saying? His man just came out looking at my man crazy. I'm walking down the street, my man's like, I don't like his boy. I'm like, you shut, that's my man. But that's they animal. That's how they rationalize things with combat.
So when you first come out of the hood, you come out of the hood and you were a drug dealer and your friends is drug dealers and your friends is thugs and you were just a poet that hung out with thugs and you might have been thug too and you got a record. People around you are very protective. They're very violent. They don't really believe they have nothing to live for. And you are the centerpiece of their lives and, you know, and you're trying to train them as you learn. It's tough.
I mean, Snoop got people that's loyal to him that would probably kill you before he would.
But you gotta know how to separate your friends from your homies from your loved ones. I mean, you got homeboys, you got friends, and you got dogs. My dogs is with me all the time. My friends, hey, what's happening? All right, I get back at you. And my homeboys is people who I got love for, but they don't understand this business right now, so I have to keep them to a limit.
It was times where I had concerts and shows, and I tell a couple people to meet me on my block, on my corner when I first got signed. And before I know it, I look up, it's like a parade outside.
There's always somebody in somebody's ear, like telling you, fuck that, B. This, that, and third.
Yo, let that nigga go right there.
That nigga said this, man. Why you don't go see him?
Because nowadays, I mean, the pressure from your mans will make you go hurt something.
That's the dude you need to get away from you. Or you gotta school him quick, because he don't know no better.
In 1995, a crew from Eazy-E's Ruthless Records visited the Dog Pound on the set of a music video. The Dog Pound, because of their allegiance to Death Row Records, were drawn into Dr. Dre's ongoing beef with Eazy-E.
Actually, Eazy-E boys, they was just, I mean, me and Ricky Harris was riding around, you know, in a little go-kart thing, getting ready to shoot a scene. And they just walked up on me like, fuck the Dog Pound, you know what I mean? And my response was like, I mean, it's about 100 people around there, and one of them went behind me. So I'm like, well, either I swing now or else I just get swung on, so. Eazy-E, rest in peace. I don't know how much he had to do with influencing them to talk about us. But they was down with him and we was down with Dre, so they was trying to do their diss thing. And we not trying to be no hoodlums, we out here trying to make money, because I know that day I felt real bad about what it looked real silly.
Man, I love this game.
Fatal Hussein of the Outlaws was part of Tupac Shakur's crew. Due to a court date on the East Coast, Fatal wasn't in Las Vegas the night Tupac was shot.
Not that I'm some kind of, gladiator or nothing like that, but if I was dead, I know, I'm in the streets basically. The only time I'm not in the streets is when I'm with Tupac. So I know right from wrong. I know, this shit is still the street. And I know there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do, man, especially when you at that level. And it's like people that was around him at the time wasn't feeding this to him, man.
After a Mike Tyson bout, Tupac Shakur started a fight with Orlando Anderson, a Los Angeles gang member. Several hours later, Shakur was shot in a car just off the Las Vegas Strip.
I never stopped thinking about what the fuck was Tupac doing out there rolling in the dirt with a nigga that he ain't had no business even. He shouldn't even gave that nigga the time, man, to even say some shit like, yeah, me and Pac had a fight, man. It was like 100 other niggas dead. It was supposed to be people there that was supposed to step up and handle situations. Niggas wasn't around just to be rapping and eating up shit and messing with chicks and shit like that. Everybody in the crew got a part to play. And if you don't play your part, then it's all gonna crumble. And if they get the head, man, what's gonna happen to the body? I felt like if I was dead, shit would have been totally different, man.
After the deaths of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, artists and the media temporarily came to their senses.
If you know that it's arousing the whole community, you know that you don't want that to happen. You don't want that energy coming your way, then it's definitely like up to you to take a stand and be like, yo, I really have no ill feelings towards you as a person. This was me expressing myself through my art. It's love. I want to see you prosper too. I mean, I think a lot of the artists feel that way. They might not say it all the time. Because cats, do get emotional. Sometimes it does become personal. But overall, I know the nature of these cats ain't about like, I want to see this dude dead.
In 1997, Minister Farrakhan called an intervention in Chicago in an attempt to resolve disputes peacefully. Minister Farrakhan told his guests about organized techniques white slave owners had used to keep slaves, including deliberately causing, developing, and maintaining hostility amongst them.
Ice Cube flew in, Mac 10 flew in, Ice Cube came and just gave me a hug.
When I met Common just kind of felt like he had to defend himself because he a cool dude, actually. And Common good, man. He can rap. He do what he do.
And I needed the elders to come bring us together and just be able to sit us at the table where it wouldn't be no ignorance and no homies just sitting around talking crazy. And we get aroused and just had a peace treaty. And we hugged, you know, so it was like, I needed that.
We got close, but then she broke to the West Coast, and now it's cool, because around the same time, I went away.
Because they have the respect of many artists, outside entities like the Nation of Islam and Zulu Nation, as well as individuals like Russell Simmons, Jim Brown, and Mike Conception, have led the way in squashing beefs in hip-hop.
In the Nation of Islam, I'm not even allowed to speak negative of another member to another individual in the nation unless the one of whom I'm speaking about is present. If I go to another member about something negative about another member, that member is to stop me and say, hold up. If it ain't positive, I don't want to hear it. And if it's negative, that other person is not here. So what I do then, I go to someone who can officiate my beef, and I want to witness that I tried to settle it. So I don't fear nobody but God. I don't have to go and slander you behind your back. I think that's a coward's way out. Sometimes the other artist didn't even realize you had a problem with him until he heard your record. See, that's a punk way of doing things to me. That's not being a man or a woman. You should have called that artist and faced them with arbitrators saying, you did this to hurt me, and allow that person to say, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I did affected you this way. Would you please accept my apology?
We have a hip-hop summit here. We have people that work all day long on settling beefs. You know, I've been lucky enough to have an opportunity to influence some of these people. And if someone listens to me, then I should use my influence best I can. I pay for a lot of this shit myself. I don't expect to get any help from the people who own the record companies. I wish they'd help me underwrite the hip-hop summit because they're making billions of dollars. I don't think that people give a shit. Sometimes I don't even think they care if the artist dies as long as the catalog sells.
Every hustler that I know and every person that's had to live a violent life to survive would do anything not to have to live that life. They don't enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And to get once you get out of that life, you never want to go back. It's so not gangster to get into any physicality. That's the least. That's the worst. That's when there's nothing else you can do. That should be the last resort, is violence. Especially if you're in a position where people are following behind you and you have to set an example, because it makes our culture look bad. It makes us look stupid.